Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. Really appreciate you taking time to check out this video. Do what the thing says on the screen. Greatly appreciate it, so thank you in advance. Now, I am a big Pokemon fan, but not exclusively to just Pokemon when it comes to these creature companion type games. So back in the 90s, there was a game that showed up with an anime and the whole shebang, and it never quite took off, but I appreciated it nonetheless. This is Monster Rancher. Now, they did go back and remake this game, or I'm sorry, they kind of HD remade it, but there was something that was really important about this game that we never ever saw anything quite like it again. You could put disc into this game because all the monsters, the creatures were like created from the stone disc. So in the actual game, you would actually take out the Monster Rancher disc and you will put in a different disc to the PlayStation. It could be a CD, like a music CD, or even a different game. And when you inserted the disc, it would spawn a creature. Now, sometimes this would be really cool. Like, one of the things I always remember is SmackDown 2 Know Your Role would give you the Phoenix, which was like one of the most legendary creatures in the game. So that was something that was really cool because we had access to that game. So you could just, every time your monster would die, because after a while it dies if it gets too old, you could just put the game back in, generate the monster. But it was just like one of these cool, like very unique features for a game. But besides that, this was one of those creature raising, battling type games. The battle system was very different from what Pokemon gave us. But this was like a console game, and this was before you had like Pokemon Stadium. Like, Pokemon was only on the handhelds and Monster Rancher was on the PlayStation. So it was like we get our console version of a creature raising simulation type game. You have to train your creature, you got to feed them, you know, you have to battle them in certain tournaments. And the whole thing is you're trying to be the very best, which is always, you know, the basis for these games, like no one ever was. And you essentially, you know, you're going through and you're going to these tournaments. Like, there's no badges, but you have like your official level. So you start off in the E class and you go all the way up to S class. And as you go through it, you encounter all these other trainers who are trying to get their creatures or get themselves, you know, the higher rankings and things like that. So it was really cool. You know, you could go into a tournament and think that you're about to run the table, and then you get to like your last battle and all of a sudden you realize that you overestimated your abilities. And then, you know, once you complete things and you do like trainings, if your creature doesn't do that well, you can scold them. I don't know, even when making this video, I just couldn't bring myself to scold my my monster for not completing training to the best of his abilities. You know, I'm just I don't know, man. I just couldn't do it. Like that episode of Pokemon where the guy's training the Sandshrew and he's whipping them into shape. It always just kind of made me feel uncomfortable. So I would always been like, you know, good try. We'll come back later. Like, I'm a big Ash Ketchum type of guy. So this was a game that allowed us, you know, in the console with the 3D graphics and everything. And I was kind of a fan of the anime as well. I thought it was, you know, it's its own thing. And their creatures were kind of unique at the time. Now there's so many Pokemon, they pretty much have covered everybody's monster styles, even like some of these Pokemon look like Digimon at this point. But Digimon also had a terrible game for PlayStation, which we will not cover. So this was like, you know, my Pokemon and or Digimon game on the PlayStation that I could have that allowed me to, you know, be a trainer in another capacity. So it was definitely a game that we had to talk about because for that moment, at least in my little small circle of friends, we talked about Monster Rancher. It was definitely a game that we really enjoyed. So I wanted to make sure that we talked about it here. So if you know about this game and you have some memories of specific discs that you use to get certain creatures, like there used to be, I knew I had one that would always give me this red wolf, and the wolf is a really cool creature in this game. And it was one of the creatures that were on the anime, so I wanted it. There was one you could get like a purple Suazo, which is the thing you saw with the eyeball that's jumping around on his tail, I guess. So I'd love to hear if you have, you know, stories of certain discs that you knew about that would get you certain creatures. I don't know how it works in the remake. I wanted to play it, just never had really time. So yeah, I'll probably find out, but you could also tell me that in the comments as well. Either way, I really appreciate you letting me reminisce with you. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Peace.